Another wild week in the books in the Big 12. Some upsets, some near upsets, and some very close, important games. Anthony Totri, let's dive right into it with by far and away the weirdest game of the weekend. Number 12, Utah at home nearly falls to the weirdest team in college football, Kansas State, who scored 47 points, but not enough to beat Utah's 51 and 16-point fourth quarter. Devin Dampier and company take home the win, but Kansas State scored 14 points on Oklahoma State last week and scored 47 against Utah on the road.
I mean, 51-47. I feel like in a game like this, you might think that these two teams were airing it out. But if you've watched anything from Kansas State and Utah this year, well, you know it was all on the ground. In Kansas State, are you kidding me? 472 yards rushing as a team. 5 touchdowns on the ground, and you still find a way to choke this game away. Absolutely brutal if you are a Kansas State fan. You had bowl eligibility right in front of your face, and now you got to wait till next week to try and go bowling, man.
A 24-point second quarter for Kansas State, the highest scoring quarter in the Big 12 this weekend. Joe Jackson, not shoeless, 293 yards, 3 touchdowns on 24 carries. Kansas State continues to be the weirdest team in the country.
So strange,
and
man.
it's honestly fitting they have a chance to end 500.
Yeah,
they are 4-4
absolutely.
in the Big 12, though. Let's knock the game that doesn't matter, except for Oklahoma State still remains winless.
We got to talk about this one.
Yeah, UCF wins 17-14 at home against Oklahoma State, who's 1-10 on the season, 0-8 in the Big 12. UCF 5-6, 2-6 in the Big 12. They technically will be fighting for bowl eligibility against BYU next weekend, which ASU fans definitely want to hear.
Yeah, that UCF BYU game next week will have implications. If Arizona State wins, it should have some implications on who reaches that Big 12 championship, especially if UCF does find a way to upset BYU. But getting back to this one, 3 things in life are always true. Death, taxes, and Oklahoma State not winning a Big 12 game. They're now just 1 game away from going 2 full seasons without beating a conference opponent.
And who do they play next week?
0-15.
They play Iowa State at home next week. And Iowa State, as injured as they are, still put belt to ass against the crappy Kansas Jayhawks.
Don't like Kansas,
nobody's
man.
ever been more right about Kansas than me. 38-14. You could tell me Kansas hadn't won a Big 12 game this season. I'd believe you. They're 3-5 in conference.
Fair,
14 points all came in the third quarter for the Jayhawks. Iowa State moves to 7-4. Obviously a down season for Iowa State after being in the Big 12 championship last year, but they have undergone quite a few injuries. 7-4 season with a chance to be 8-4 with the final week of play upon them. Honestly, for what they've had to go through, is relatively impressive.
Yeah, and I mean, again, Rocco Becht this season, regardless of what you want to say about the team being injured, them having pretty much a down season given those injuries, coming out there today, 18 of 23, 241 through the air, 3 touchdowns, no INTs. Rocco Becht is a really solid quarterback. He has been for some time now at Iowa State. But I think the real story here is Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell is certainly going to be a name that, you know, other programs potentially look into to replace their previous coaches, to fill some of those coaching vacancies. You know, there's going to be a lot of them this college football offseason. So we're really interested to see what Matt Campbell does in the offseason. And as it relates to Kansas, still a chance with bowl eligibility in front of you, 3-5 in conference play, 5-6 on the year. If they don't go bowling, then next week will be Jalen Daniels' final college football game. A
decade after his debut.
A long career with many ups and probably some more downs.
www.indeed.com. Matt Campbell to LSU is what I'm hearing.
Really?
Is that
that's not what I'm hearing?
That's what you told
I'm
me.
hearing Matt Campbell to like Arkansas or something.
I could see that. I don't know. We'll see. A 7-4 season from them. If he had another really, really good season fully healthy, I think that chatter would be a little bit higher. But honestly, this might have helped out Iowa State's chance at retaining him.
Yeah.
Speaking of helped out, Houston needs some help, man. Houston, you have a problem. 17-14, TCU picks up the victory on the road. Number 23, Houston, by the way, 8-3 on the season, 5-3 in the Big 12. In a vacuum, if you told any Houston fan that they had that, that would be great. But another loss for Houston after picking up their biggest win, obviously, of the year against ASU. They lose to West Virginia. They lose to TCU. Sandwiched in the middle is a 3-point victory against UCF, which is not all that impressive. TCU, though, Totri, 7-4 on the season and 4-4 in the Big 12. Josh Hoover, 293 yards in the air. Connor Wigman, 114 yards on the ground.
Yeah, I mean, coming into this year, I didn't think Connor Wigman was going to be as much of a dual threat quarterback as he's been. I mean, they've won some games, specifically that Arizona State game, just based off of what he's been able to do on the ground. I know you said earlier Kansas State's the weirdest team in the Big 12. I feel like TCU is one of the weirdest teams in the Big 12.
How are they 4-4?
I don't know. Well, we're talking about a team that just got smacked around by BYU a week ago. Didn't even look like they belonged in the same field. And then they're on the road at Houston against an 8-2 football team.
And Houston missed a couple field goals, including one in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and you come out there and you win 17-14. I mean, you score 14 points in the first quarter, and then you just get a field goal the rest of the game, and that's enough to beat Houston. Yeah. So I don't really know what to make of either one of these teams. It's fitting that they played a week before the regular season finale, 17-14. I mean, what else is there to say? Houston's going to lose the number next to their name, and TCU is bound for a potentially 8-4 season, depending on what happens next week against Cincy.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we'll get to Cincy here in a second. You know, there was obviously a total of 31 points scored in this game, and neither team scored in the same quarter as the other one. 14 points in the first quarter for TCU, 0 for Houston, 7 and then 7 for Houston in the second and the third, none for TCU. TCU scored 3 in the fourth quarter. Houston scored 0.
A sports bettor's nightmare watching that game.
I mean, hilarious. Yeah. Two hilarious teams. What isn't hilarious, if you want to stick with missed field goals, is Cincinnati basically blowing their chance at home, senior night. 3 missed field goals would have given them, I'm pretty sure, a lead.
It would have given them a late 21-20 lead
over BYU, whose magic works again, wins 26-14 on the road.
Oh, no, excuse me, 23-26. Or 20. Excuse me.
23 to.
It would have been 23 to 20.
To 20.
Yeah.
BYU now 10-1 though, 7-1 in the Big 12, possibly going to be in the top 10 going into this weekend. It's certainly on the table. They are in the driver's seat to get back into a Big 12 championship game to take on Texas Tech, who did not play this weekend, but brutal for Cincinnati. 2 losses in a row to Arizona in a close game, and to BYU in what should have been a close game for what's been an overall impressive season for Brendan Sorsby and company. A brutal 2-week stretch here near the end of Big 12 play.
And not just brutal for Cincinnati, brutal for Arizona State, right?
Yes.
This was seemingly outside of UCF doing something magical next week.
Please.
Really your last-ditch effort. In terms of like what you needed help-wise to get the job done. There's one other scenario where Arizona State could get in with, I believe, a Texas Tech loss
to West Virginia
and a Utah loss to Kansas. That's the
Dude,
other
Utah's
scenario.
Weird, man.
That's the other scenario, I believe, where Arizona State could get in. But yeah, I mean, Cincy certainly a fall from grace here the last month. And BYU, man, I mean, everything was stacked against them, and it has been kind of all season long. Everybody going against them, myself included. And here they are, 11 weeks into the season, 10-1, win and you're in to the Big 12 championship. And I know they're looking for their lick back against Texas Tech, potentially in the Big 12 championship. And again, potentially for the one spot that the Big 12 will get in the CFP, assuming that Texas Tech doesn't already kind of get the auto bid based on, where they're at in the rankings.
Sure. And, this is a conference that's fighting to have 2 teams get into the college football playoffs right now, BYU and Utah going into this weekend. We're the first 2 teams out. Obviously, both of them picking up wins. 9-2 Utah, who's 6-2 in the Big 12. BYU 10-1, 7-1 in the Big 12. BYU takes on UCF next week. If Arizona State wants to make the playoffs, they had to win today, and they did, but BYU needed to lose a game, which means BYU has to lose to UCF, I believe, at home against UCF. So that is tough. What was tough was the first half of the Arizona State-Colorado game, which was much closer than all of us expected. But at the end of the day, Anthony Totri, 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, moves Arizona State to 8-3 on the season, 6-2 in Big 12 play. 42-17 was the final score. Jordan Tyson did return, played around 30 snaps, had a couple good receptions, but overall, this was the Raleek Brown game. Totri, 22 carries, 255 yards, and a touchdown on the ground. One reception for 33 yards and a touchdown through the air. The first running back on the Power 4 level to put up those numbers since Arizona State running back Cam Skattebo last season. Speaking of Cam Skattebo, this is the first time Arizona State has scored over 40 points since Cam Skattebo won Big 12 championship MVP in Dallas in December last year. A cathartic fourth quarter for the Sun Devils, but certainly still some problems coming up that they'll need to clean up before they take on a presumably ranked Arizona at home, which they're underdogs in, for Hate Week this Friday.
Yeah, 3 kind of head-scratching quarters for Arizona State fans wondering why the Sun Devils just couldn't figure it out offensively all week long. Everybody kind of knew the game plan, right? Run the football. Colorado can't stop a nosebleed, let alone Raleek Brown, and eventually they did get to it, continued to run the football. And if I'm Raleek Brown, 255 yards on the ground, 2 total touchdowns. My first call to Kansas State's Joe Jackson. Like, dude, really? I just put up this career game, and I'm not going to get Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week because you decided to go nuts in a loss to Utah? Come on, man. That's what I'm doing if I'm Raleek Brown. But in all seriousness, didn't matter who was carrying the rock for the Sun Devils tonight. If it was on the ground, it was good for ASU.
Yeah, Colorado sucks.
Yeah, bad.
ASU
not good, stinky.
ASU turned the ball over 4 times, and Colorado could not do anything with it.
You know how many times that you lose the turnover margin 4-1 and still win 42-17?
Yeah, it's 42-17, and it's a testament to this Arizona State defense. If you are a casual observer of Arizona State this year and you haven't tuned into their games, maybe you check in with this every week. This is one of the most holistically dominant defenses I have ever watched at Arizona State, and everybody pitches in. Of course, Keith Abney has been great. He's a potential first-round pick. CJ Fight, a potential draft pick going into this year as well. But Keyshawn Elliott has been one of the best linebackers in the country. Boogie Wilson has been a revelation for this team unexpectedly so far this season in the absence of Xavier Alford. You know, you've had so many incredible players individually step up. Justin Watley has had a hell of a season. They're a fun defense to watch, and when the moment is big, they step up, they get stops, and they force turnovers. So big ups to Arizona State's defense for holding Colorado to 17 points, 2 scoreless quarters, including that fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, if Arizona State plays against Arizona the way they did on Saturday night, they are not beating Arizona at home. On Friday.
I think what I will say, and again, Arizona won today 41-17 over Baylor, is if you watch both those games, very similar, right? Arizona had 21 points through 3 quarters. They didn't score more than 7 points in a quarter until they got to the fourth. In that Baylor game, it was close all the way until the fourth quarter, right? Same thing that Arizona State had on their plate with Colorado today. And then Arizona pulled away in that fourth quarter. So I think we are trending in the direction where this is going to be two teams that are, playing similar football right now in terms of competitiveness. So I think in all honesty, it's going to be whichever team can play a slightly cleaner game than they're used to playing. Could come out on top.
You can't have 4 turnovers against Arizona. Their offense is a billion times better than Colorado's.
It wasn't today, though, man.
I mean, look, man, they put up 41 points.
They did. They put
up 41 points against a Baylor defense. It's not great. Baylor's 5-6 on the season, 3-5 in the Big 12, and we'll round out talking about that game here in a second. But it's the margin for error. I mean, Arizona's a favorite in that game as of right now. And again, I'm going to pick Arizona State to win that game. I do think Arizona State is a better overall football team, but if you make mistakes, Arizona is much more capable of capitalizing on them than Colorado.
Yeah, for sure.
And West Virginia.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, again, you have to play clean football. We've been waiting for this Arizona State team to play a clean game. They have not played a clean game up to this point in the season, not on all 3 phases, offense, defense, special teams. But, man, would it be super, super sweet to play your cleanest game of the year against your rival at home? It'd be
great. And let's round things out with Arizona. 41-17, they beat Baylor. Do you think Arizona is ranked heading into Hate Week?
They should be. They should absolutely
Like
be ranked.
23.
Again, we're talking about an 8-3 football team. I don't know if 23. I don't exactly, like, off the top of my head, know
11,
what happened on the back half.
8.
This is a team that I think could probably slot in at 24, 25. So I could definitely see a world where we're talking about number 20, like Arizona State, going up against number 25, Arizona. Which, again, for the folks that aren't necessarily Arizona State, Arizona fans, would be the most highly anticipated game between these two teams since the mid-2010s, pretty much.
2014, it was a top 15 matchup.
So in over a decade, this will be a big game. And again, like, it's hate week for both these teams, 2 8-3 teams. It's going to be a good one.
Next week will be a very interesting week in the Big 12. Utah, Kansas, Arizona, Arizona State, Cincinnati, TCU, and of course BYU, UCF, which all ASU fans will have their eyes on. What do you think happens next week? What did you think of this week? Drop a comment, leave a like. We'll be back for another week of Big 12 reactions, plus live shows throughout the entire week right here on PHNX Sun Devils on PHNX Sports. We'll see you around.